Oliver Marshall jolted awake, drenched in cold sweat, his heart pounding fiercely against his ribs. He had heard something, an unusual noise that didn't belong in the peaceful quiet of his rural farmhouse. He instinctively reached for the flashlight on his bedside table, casting its beam towards his son Ben's room. The bed was empty. Panic surged through him as he raced down the hallway, calling out for Ben. His voice echoed through the silent house, met with no response. The front door was ajar, swinging gently in the breeze. He sprinted outside, scanning the dark landscape. His eyes caught a strange, pulsating light in the distance. It was coming from the field behind their house. He dashed through the grass, the light growing brighter with each step. As he crested the hill, he saw it, a massive, alien spacecraft hovering above the ground, emitting a low, humming sound. He froze, eyes wide with disbelief. Suddenly, a beam of light shot out from the craft, enveloping him in a blinding glow. When he could see again, the spacecraft was gone, and so was Ben. Desperation and anger welled up inside Oliver. He rushed back to the house and grabbed his phone, dialing a number he hadn't used in years. "Sarah, it's Oliver. They took him. They took Ben." Sarah McLeod, a tech expert and his former comrade from their military days, answered almost immediately. "I heard about the abductions. We're mobilizing. Meet us at the base." Oliver wasted no time. He packed his gear and sped towards the military base, thoughts racing. When he arrived, Sarah was waiting with a grim expression. "There have been reports of children being taken all over the world. We believe it's the Zyrathians. They're after something, but we don't know what." Oliver's mind flashed back to the loss of his wife and the vow he made to protect their son at all costs. "We need to get him back," he said, determination hardening his voice. Sarah nodded. "We have a plan. The Zyrathians have superior technology, but they're not invincible. We've developed a prototype space shuttle equipped with advanced weaponry. It's our best chance." The team assembled quickly, a group of seasoned veterans ready to take on the extraterrestrial threat. As they prepared for launch, Oliver's thoughts were solely on Ben. "Hold on, buddy. I'm coming for you." The shuttle roared to life, and they blasted off into the night sky. The journey to the moon was tense, the silence in the cabin heavy with anticipation. Sarah worked tirelessly at the controls, guiding them through an asteroid field with expert precision. The Zyrathian base came into view, a sprawling complex hidden on the dark side of the moon. "Remember, this is a rescue mission first and foremost," Sarah reminded them. "We get the kids, we stop their plans, and we get out." They landed undetected, thanks to the shuttle's stealth capabilities. Moving swiftly and silently, they approached the entrance. Oliver's heart raced with every step, the image of Ben's terrified face driving him forward. Inside, the base was a maze of alien technology, but Dr. Henry Lawson, a scientist thought to be long dead, appeared out of nowhere. "Oliver? Sarah? What are you doing here?" Lawson's voice was a mixture of surprise and relief. "We're here for the children," Oliver said firmly. "What's going on?" Lawson explained the horrifying truth. "The Zyrathians are using the children's cognitive abilities to power a superweapon aimed at Earth. They've forced me to work on it, but I can help you disable it." The urgency of their mission intensified. With Lawson's guidance, they navigated through the base, avoiding patrols and disabling security systems. They found the children, including Ben, in a high-security chamber. Oliver rushed to his son, pulling him into a tight embrace. "Dad, I knew you'd come," Ben whispered, tears streaming down his face. "We're not out of this yet," Oliver said, his voice steady. "Stay close to me." As Sarah worked on disabling the superweapon, they faced fierce resistance. Oliver and his team fought bravely, using their training and tactical skills to fend off the Zyrathians. The battle was intense, but they prevailed, thanks to their strategic prowess and Lawson's insider knowledge. With the weapon disabled and the children safe, they made their way back to the shuttle. Just as they were about to escape, the base's self-destruct sequence initiated. Dr. Lawson stayed behind, ensuring they had enough time to get away. "Go! Save the children!" Lawson shouted, sealing his fate. The shuttle sped away from the moon, carrying them back to Earth. Oliver held Ben close, relief washing over him. They had done it. They had saved the children and thwarted the alien threat, at least for now. As they landed back on Earth, the team was greeted with cheers and applause. Oliver looked down at Ben, who was safe in his arms. "We're home," he whispered, feeling a profound sense of gratitude and love. Oliver Marshall tightened his grip on the shuttle's control panel, staring out into the void as the prototype vessel cut through space. The silence inside the cockpit was heavy, punctuated only by the occasional beep of the navigation system. Beside him, Sarah McLeod's fingers flew over the controls, her expression focused and intense. "We're approaching the asteroid field," Sarah said, her voice steady. "This is where things get tricky." Oliver nodded, his mind flashing back to the briefing they'd received. The Zyrathian base was hidden on the dark side of the moon, heavily guarded and surrounded by treacherous terrain. Getting through undetected would be their first challenge. The shuttle entered the asteroid field, and Sarah's skill became evident as she expertly maneuvered through the obstacles. The ship dipped and weaved, avoiding the floating rocks that could easily tear it apart. Oliver watched the screen, tracking their progress and the positions of the Zyrathian patrols. "Look sharp, we're almost through," Sarah muttered, her eyes narrowing. Suddenly, a blip appeared on the radar. A Zyrathian scout ship was approaching, its sleek, alien design unmistakable. Oliver's heart rate quickened. They couldn't afford to be spotted. "Hold steady," he instructed, his voice low but firm. "Let it pass." They held their breath as the scout ship glided past, its scanners sweeping the area. For a moment, it seemed to pause, and Oliver could almost feel the tension in the air. But then, it moved on, disappearing into the distance. "We're clear," Sarah said, exhaling deeply. "For now." They emerged from the asteroid field, the moon's surface coming into view. The Zyrathian base loomed ahead, a fortress of alien architecture. Oliver studied the layout on the screen, noting the entrances and security checkpoints. "Dr. Lawson's intel better be accurate," Oliver said, glancing at Sarah. "It will be," she replied. "He's risking everything to help us." They landed the shuttle in a concealed spot, their stealth technology masking their presence. As they prepared to disembark, Oliver's thoughts were solely on Ben. He had to stay focused, had to keep it together for his son. The team moved swiftly, their footsteps silent on the lunar surface. Oliver led the way, his military training guiding his every move. They reached the first checkpoint, and Sarah hacked into the security system, disabling the cameras and alarms. "All clear," she whispered, nodding to Oliver. They pressed on, navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the base. The alien architecture was disorienting, but Dr. Lawson's directions kept them on track. They encountered a few Zyrathian guards, dispatching them quietly and efficiently. As they neared the central chamber, Oliver felt a surge of hope. They were getting closer. The image of Ben, scared but brave, fueled his determination. Finally, they reached the chamber. The door slid open, revealing the children, including Ben, confined within translucent pods. Oliver's heart lurched at the sight. He rushed to his son's pod, placing a hand on the surface. "Ben, it's me," he said softly. "I'm here to get you out." Ben's eyes fluttered open, and a smile broke across his face. "Dad!" Sarah worked quickly, deactivating the pods and freeing the children. Oliver pulled Ben into a tight embrace, feeling the weight of the past hours lift slightly from his shoulders. "We need to move," Sarah said urgently. "The superweapon control room is next door. We have to disable it before they realize we're here." Oliver nodded, guiding Ben and the other children towards the exit. Sarah and a few team members stayed behind to handle the superweapon. As they made their way out, the base's alarms suddenly blared to life. "They've found us," Oliver said grimly. "We need to hurry." They encountered heavy resistance on their way back, but Oliver's team was prepared. They fought their way through, using their advanced weaponry and tactics to overcome the Zyrathian forces. The sounds of battle echoed through the corridors, but Oliver's focus never wavered. As they reached the shuttle, Sarah's voice crackled over the comm. The weapon is disabled, but the base is set to self-destruct. You have to get out now. Understood, Oliver replied. We're boarding the shuttle. The team hurried onto the shuttle, the children safe and accounted for. Oliver took the controls, launching them into space as the Zyrathian base erupted in a series of explosions behind them. The journey back to Earth was tense but filled with a sense of relief. They had done it. They had saved the children and stopped the threat. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, Oliver glanced at Ben, who was sitting beside him, exhausted but safe. You're safe now, Oliver said, his voice softening. We're going home. Ben smiled, leaning against his father. I knew you'd come for me, Dad. Oliver's heart swelled with pride and love. They had faced an incredible challenge and emerged victorious. And though he knew their journey was far from over, for now, they had won a crucial battle. Oliver Marshall's eyes scanned the control room, taking in the alien technology. The Zyrathian base's interior was a blend of sleek, otherworldly designs and cold, utilitarian function. He led his team through the labyrinthine corridors, each step echoing softly against the metallic floors. Dr. Lawson's directions had been precise so far, but Oliver remained vigilant, knowing any misstep could mean disaster. Sarah McLeod, ever the tech genius, worked tirelessly at her portable device, hacking into the Zyrathian systems. We need to reach the main control hub, she said, her voice low and urgent. From there, we can shut down their defenses and buy us more time. Oliver nodded, his thoughts briefly drifting to Ben and the other children. Their rescue was imminent, but the base's defenses needed to be neutralized first. They moved with purpose, avoiding patrols and bypassing security checkpoints thanks to Sarah's deft handiwork. As they approached the central hub, the complexity of the alien technology became even more apparent. The walls glowed with streams of data, and strange symbols flickered across screens. Sarah paused at the entrance, her brow furrowed in concentration. Give me a moment, she whispered, fingers dancing over her device. A soft beep signaled success, and the doors slid open silently. Inside, the hub was a hive of activity, with Zyrathian operatives monitoring various stations. Oliver signaled his team, and they moved in with military precision, quickly and quietly neutralizing the guards. Sarah plugged her device into the main console, her eyes flicking over the alien script. I need to decrypt their language to shut everything down, she said, frustration evident in her voice. This could take a few minutes. We don't have minutes, Oliver replied, his gaze darting to the doorway. Do what you can. We'll hold them off. The team took up defensive positions, readying for any sign of reinforcements. The seconds ticked by, each one a stark reminder of the stakes. Suddenly, the screens around them dimmed, and the base's lights flickered. Got it! Sarah exclaimed. I've disabled their main defense grid. But we need to move. Now. They sprinted from the control hub, making their way toward the holding area. Oliver's heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination. They reached the chamber where the children were held, the translucent pods casting an eerie glow. Ben's face was the first he saw, and a fierce protectiveness surged through him. We're here, he said softly, touching the surface of Ben's pod. Just a little longer. Sarah worked quickly, her device interfacing with the alien technology. One by one, the pods opened, releasing the children. Oliver gathered Ben into his arms, feeling the boy's small body trembling with relief. Thank you, Dad, Ben whispered, clinging tightly. You're safe now, Oliver replied, his voice choked with emotion. But we need to keep moving. With the children freed, they began their escape. The base's alarms blared to life, signaling that their presence was no longer a secret. The team moved swiftly, engaging in brief but intense skirmishes with Zyrathian soldiers. Oliver's military training kicked in, guiding his actions with precision and calm. They reached the shuttle, the children safely aboard. As Oliver prepared to take off, Sarah's voice crackled over the comm. I've set the base's reactors to overload. We have 10 minutes before this place goes up in flames. Understood, Oliver replied. We're getting out of here. The shuttle lifted off, the lunar surface receding below them. Behind them, the Zyrathian base erupted in a series of explosions, a testament to their successful mission. The children, though exhausted and scared, were safe. Oliver looked at Ben, his heart swelling with pride and love. We did it, buddy, he said, ruffling Ben's hair. We're heading home. As they broke through the moon's orbit, Earth came into view, a beautiful, welcoming sight. Oliver's mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. They had won this battle, but the Zyrathian threat was far from over. However, for now, they could revel in the victory and the reunions that awaited them on Earth. The shuttle touched down at the military base, and Oliver Marshall felt a wave of relief as the hatch opened. He and his team were greeted with cheers, but his focus remained on Ben. Clutching his son's hand, he made his way through the crowd, his mind racing with the next steps. Sarah McLeod caught up with him, her face serious despite the celebratory atmosphere. We need to debrief immediately, she said, leading him towards the command center. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. General Harper stood at the head of the table, his expression stern. Good work, Marshal. But our problems are far from over. Oliver nodded. What's the latest intel? General Harper gestured to a holographic display showing a map of the moon base. The Zyrathians are planning a counterattack. We've intercepted communications indicating they're regrouping and will strike soon. Sarah's eyes widened. How long do we have? Hours, maybe less, the general replied. We need a strategy to defend Earth and take the fight to them. Oliver looked at Ben, who was sitting quietly, his eyes reflecting both exhaustion and bravery. We can't let them take any more children, he said, his voice resolute. General Harper nodded. Agreed. We've mobilized all available forces. We need you to lead a strike team back to the moon. Dr. Lawson's data suggests a weakness in their shield generators. If we can disable those, we'll have a chance to launch a full-scale assault. Sarah pulled up the data on her tablet. We'll need to split into 2 teams. One to disable the generators and another to protect our base. Oliver agreed. I'll lead the team to the moon. Sarah, you stay here and coordinate the defenses. They quickly assembled their teams and prepared for the mission. As Oliver geared up, Ben approached him, his small hand gripping Oliver's tightly. Dad, are you going to be okay? Oliver knelt down, looking into his son's eyes. I promise, Ben. I'll be back before you know it. Stay with Sarah, she'll keep you safe. Ben nodded, hugging his father tightly before stepping back. Sarah gave Oliver a reassuring nod. We'll be ready when you give the signal. The shuttle roared to life once more, and Oliver's team blasted off towards the moon. The trip was tense but focused. They knew what was at stake. Upon reaching the moon, they landed a safe distance from the base. Oliver led his team through the dark, craggy landscape, moving swiftly and silently. The alien structure loomed ahead, and they approached the first of the shield generators. Set the charges, Oliver instructed, keeping a lookout for any signs of the enemy. His team worked quickly, planting explosives at critical points. They moved on to the next generator, maintaining their pace. The minutes ticked by, each one bringing them closer to potential discovery. As they planted the final set of charges, a Zyrathian patrol appeared. The team engaged swiftly, their movements precise and lethal. The clash was brief but intense, leaving Oliver's team victorious but wary of more patrols. With the charges set, Oliver signaled Sarah. We're ready. Initiate the defense protocols. Back on Earth, Sarah watched the screens intently. Copy that. Activating now. The shield generators on the moon base erupted in a series of controlled explosions, their defenses crumbling. Oliver and his team retreated to their shuttle, escaping the blasts and heading back into orbit. As they regrouped, Sarah's voice came over the comm. Our defenses are holding, but barely. We need to strike now while they're vulnerable. Oliver nodded, directing his team towards the main Zyrathian command ship. They approached stealthily, using the chaos of the explosions as cover. The Zyrathian forces were in disarray, giving Oliver's team the opportunity they needed. They boarded the command ship, encountering pockets of resistance. Each confrontation was a test of their resolve, but they pressed on, determined to end the threat once and for all. Reaching the control center, they engaged the Xyrathian commanders in a fierce battle. Oliver's team fought with everything they had, their training and determination pushing them forward. The command center was soon under their control, and Oliver accessed the ship's systems. "Disabling their weapons," he said, fingers flying over the controls. "Sarah, prepare for full assault." "Roger that," Sarah replied. "Sending in reinforcements." As the Xyrathian command ship's systems went dark, Oliver knew they had turned the tide. The enemy forces were disorganized and weakened, giving Earth's defenses the upper hand. The battle continued, but with the Xyrathian command structure in disarray, victory was within reach. Oliver's team pushed through, securing key areas and ensuring their success. As the dust settled, Oliver took a moment to breathe, looking around at his team and the devastation they had wrought. They had faced a formidable enemy and emerged triumphant, their mission a success. With the threat neutralized, they prepared to return to Earth. The journey back was filled with a sense of accomplishment and relief. Oliver thought of Ben, knowing they had ensured a safer future for him and the other children.